should make mention of the fact that you have a workshop coming up this Saturday, The Power of You, at Marriott. But we can get into the details of that just a little bit later on, because off the air you were mentioning to us that you have a DVD, and I like the thrust of it, money management for families.
Yes.
So what is that all about?
Okay, DVD Money Management for Families was created really to help families in simple steps to money management. And I thought, if they have that DVD with them that they can look at together with their families, it will help. The DVD structure is segmented into three aspects. The first aspect of it, and we have actually the actual family that we use to act in that role. So you can, yes, they can actually relate to what is happening. So it's not boring, and it is very, very interactive. And the DVD
is visual.
It's visual, so it definitely makes a difference. And you can relate, very, very relative. It starts with giving the steps, advising the family. So that first segment is really directed to the family, the entire family, where you give these steps to the family to start with a family meeting, to discuss goals about budgeting and these tips. The second segment of it is really related to the young adults. So they can actually, the young adults watching that segment can actually relate. Interviews are being done with young adults, and they are really talking about their issues with how they handle money. And again, steps, in terms of how do they go about handling and budgeting their money. And I have the last segment, which is about for the very young one, the children, preschool. And within that, just to sensitize them, it's just about a 10 minutes aspect of the DVD. And I have a mascot called Mini Money. And Mini Money really encourages the children to sing along with them and sensitize them. Mini Money is an ant. Gold, gold with red accessories. So that DVD is really, to help, and the feedback on it has been fantastic.
And I Jennifer, I really believe in preventative measures in all things, and so if we just go back just for a bit, even before we get to emergencies, where we get ourselves in a position to empower ourselves on information so that you could actually have it there. So I'm thinking two things. I'm thinking of some of the things that you probably impart on your clients with regards to saving and stuff like that. I'm also thinking while you're talking there about, again, because we do so many programs here with, young people and marriages and relationships and stuff like that, I'm thinking of the fact that it is now a known fact that finances is the number one cause of breakups in families, in relationships, in marriages. So therefore, with your DVD, I'm thinking this is an excellent gift to give to a young couple
at
the start of a marriage, because this is something that, with everything else that we learn about married life and relationships and all that, finances, if it is that finances is the number one cause for breakup, this is probably a good way for you to help,
I totally agree with you, Marcia. Because what is happening again, because we haven't been trained from early and taught from early how to manage our money, when the couples get together, that's not something they discuss,
People are always afraid to talk about
it is not
money.
something they discuss. They go out, and if you have to spend money, whoever have the most spend, or they actually, women now, actually put in their hands, that in their pocket, in their wallets, and handing money to share the cost. And that goes on, nothing, no mention.
Without proper planning.
Even up to the stage of actually making a decision to either get married or to live together. Again, the discussion is either about planning the wedding and how much money you're spending on the wedding, or how you're going to furnish that apartment you're going to live in, or whether you're going to change your car, etc. Nothing is talked about the bills, the financial commitments, what happens in emergencies. This is not done.
And of course, for schooling for the children.
No, because we tend not to be long-term planners, especially when it's finances, because the first thing they say, we don't have any money now, when you get promotion, or when, it's always a reason to postpone the planning of, the financial situation.
And I think it's time for us to wake up.
Oh yes, definitely, and especially with what is happening now, you find in crisis situations where you find that persons are only going to be, when they get in a crisis situation, they start to panic, and that is where the problem is. So this is definitely the time for those who haven't been planning before to start budgeting,
Yeah. So you're advocating here for new behavioral changes in our money management. Okay, so let's talk about saving here, Jennifer. What's your what's what are your regulations, whatever you want to call it, your rules on saving?
I don't use, well, I say I don't necessarily abide by the 10%. What I advise first, before you even start saving, go back in terms of looking at your goals. You first understand what are your goals for yourself, what are your plans, not just your financial goals, your life goals, because of course your life goals is affected by your finances. So you first look at your goals and prioritize, of course. You look at your actual lifestyle right now. What you spend your money most on. Are you more spending on needs or wants? So you look at your lifestyle, because you have to change. You're changing habits here. So you look at your lifestyle, you look at your commitments. You have to really not just have it in your head, like most people say they don't budget because it's in their head, but sit and really write down. And I
don't
mentioned,
it's in the head when you reach any store. But
yeah, I normally advise my clients, and I am really a stickler for that. If it is a family budget you're doing, have everyone in the family together and have that meeting, because what would affect, if you have the young ones, the way they habits, the way they spend their money would affect your pocket. So you need to really first have that meeting and discuss the goals of the family. If it's, of course, a single person, what are your goals? And from that, then you can say, okay, I am saving towards that particular goal. And it's only then you can know how much you're going to allocate and what type of program you're going to use in order to save towards that.
Let's get an example of a program here.
Sure.
I was just about to say, what program
Okay.
are you talking about?
Yes. All right. So are we let's use single woman or single, like
Single woman is
okay, so we just taking the single woman who on average, fairly average income.
Yeah,
okay with that?
Income, 2 kids.
All right, 2 kids. So you add in 2 kids. All right, that's okay. That's okay. And if it's a single parent with 2 kids, what you look at, what I would suggest to that parent, again, depending on the age, but regardless of the age, they should sit and discuss. Because if they're very young, I will see that parent say, okay, so we are talking, and this is what mommy doing. Mommy is working for X amount of money, and this is how this money has to be allocated, because I'm interested in educating you, and it will cost me X amount of money, because let's say you're 5 now, so maybe the next 15 years or the next 12 years, I would like to have this X amount of money. So when doing that, you have your plan. So that is where you planning, you setting your goals. That's the start of the goal, the meeting. Okay, you also should look at what do you have? What are your assets right now? What do you owe? What do you owe? So you're looking at your assets and your liabilities. So let's give you a picture of your financial situation. Okay, the next step from there is really, where do you want to go from here? What is your goals for yourself? Do you have to what? Do you plan to even further your studies so you can maybe get promotion on your job, or you're going to learn some skills so it can give you that extra income? So you look at the plans for yourself. What do you want for yourself? What do you want for your kids? Look at their ages now. What are their ages? When are they going to start university? What are the steps? Because depending on the plans there will know the kind of money you need to save towards. All right? Because education is expensive, or it could also be depending on whether you want to, maybe your preference is to send your child overseas as locally, or maybe you have that ambition that they may do a certain profession that is on high cost. So this you need to know all that from before to even start to know myself how much you can save. So when you have that total picture, your assets, your liabilities, you know your income of course. Then you look at your goals. So this is the goals for yourself, this is the goals for your two kids. The next step is, what is your current expenditure? Okay, what would it cost? So that is where the budgeting comes in. That is where you need to make a budget. Start with, this is my income right now, and this is my expenses. So you would know, of course, you start with the fixed expenses. So all of these are the commitments you have. If you have your children in nursery school or in you're paying for them in school, you know that is a commitment that you must pay. You have your loans, etc. These are fixed commitments that you must pay. After you have the fixed commitments, then you go on to the discretionary spending in terms of you're looking at the more
how much you spend in food,
all the items that they are flexible in that you can make your adjustments there, because there's where you have to make the adjustments in order to the savings, to know how much you put in. The savings go really in the fixed aspect of it, because when you get that amount, that allocated amount towards saving, towards education, towards whatever the goal is, that becomes fixed because you are making a commitment. Because if it's not fixed, then you wouldn't reach the goals. Okay, so this is where you start off, and when you see that and you look at it now, and from your income, when you look at your expenses, and in some cases it exceeds your income, you know definitely, okay, I have to start trimming. Whether it's from the groceries, whether it's from the entertainment, where do I trim from? And from there, because if you're saving goals, let's say you plan to save 50,000, just using that as a figure, and you know you need to save it in the next 5 years, because that may be a down payment for your home or for whatever reason, then you know what is the monthly amount you have to allocate towards that. And if you're not seeing it from after you make that budget, then you have to start cutting back, from the variable aspect of your budget, to know that this is where I'm going to get that money from, or else you have to look at maybe utilizing a skill, doing something else to bring in that extra money so you could achieve that goal.
And it sounds so very simple, Jennifer. And the thing about it, the thing about it is you can't just keep it in your head. When you keep it in your head, that you fall apart.
That is where, because you have to track it, and of course you have to see, sometimes you may falter, and where you falter, you may be able to examine better why, and then look to recover from that the next
And it
month.
might also, especially in the case of a single parent, it might be a good idea as well if they have somebody to whom they can be accountable. They can say, well, this is what I'm planning to do, and you're my friend. Please support me in this. Please help me. Pull me up when you see me going back on what I've decided to do.
Can I agree with you? And I should mention discipline. Of course, you realize is key. And you talk about being accountable. You can use your same children to be accountable, because let me tell you, if you're saving towards a home, and you have them visualize that we're going to be moving into this home within the next 5 years. By the time you reach X age, we're going to be in this home. And you actually drive by or look at them and say, we are going to build here, or we are going to do that. But to do that, Mommy would not be able to take you to the mall every week. We would not be able to buy. You have to cut back. I am telling you, they're going to keep you accountable and remind you. Ask you, when are we going to get at home? Are we close to doing that? A home, car, whatever your goal, you include them in it. You let them know why, and how they will also benefit from it, because you are really increasing your standard of life, improving that. They're going to be on board with you, and I'm telling you, they would be your best
Listeners, you know very well what she's saying.
Oh yes, because I have used that tactic with my family.
And it's
yes, and it's worked.
But one of the beautiful things about it as well is just the fact that you're teaching your children not to be instant gratification people.
That is true.
Which is invaluable as you're growing up.
Correct.
So